So we will get started. Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us for this webinar today, brought to you by the Montana Disability and Health Program, which is housed under the Montana Department of Public Health and Human Services at the Chronic Disease and Health Promotion Bureau. Today's webinar is about increasing inclusive fitness opportunities under the big sky. However, in a meeting we had the other day, we really wanted to open it up nationally because we see that Montana is a destination spot, and to be able to open up our outside activities and physical fitness opportunities, inclusive and adaptable opportunities to anyone around the country would be an ideal opportunity. So a few housekeeping before we start today. I wanted to bring your attention to the Q&A. I think you'll be able to find that at the bottom of your screen. Please use that for questions throughout the entire webinar. Our panelists will be answering as they come in, if they can, and if not, we will also have about 8 or 10 minutes at the end of the webinar to answer these questions. You can use the chat box for technical difficulties or to share resources. Attendees don't have the ability to reach out to other attendees, but if you share them with the panelists, we can either share them on our webpage later or send them out again. One of the panelists will send them out. We do have live captioning and ASL interpretation available. You can find the live captioning button at the bottom of your screen to view that, or stream text link in the chat. I will place that in the chat just in a moment. And then the ASL interpreter should be spotlighted for all to see. And then this webinar will be recorded, and archived resources will be posted with the recording on our Montana Disability and Health webpage, mtdh.ruralinstitute.umt, and this will come out in your follow-up email in a couple of days. But expect the resources to be available closer to next week. And then we will have a feedback survey connected to the end of this webinar. So when you exit out, the feedback survey should appear on your screen, and it should only take a couple minutes to let us know how you think we did or ways to improve. And now I will pass it over to Meg Tracy, who is the Montana expert in disability and health and works at the Rural Institute for Inclusive Communities at the University of Montana. And I am very lucky to have her as one of my supervisors. Meg Tracy.
Thank you, Mackenzie. Good morning, everybody. We're really excited for this morning's webinar and for many of our partners who are participating with us in elevating awareness and helping individuals to connect to different fitness recreation opportunities in our state. And we're hoping that we learn from national partners who might be joining us of other opportunities we could be bringing to our state. And maybe we have some information and ideas to share with our national partners. We're so lucky to have been working on these opportunities with the National Center on Health, Physical Activity, and Disability. And you'll be hearing a little bit more from our good colleague, Bob Lujano from NCPAD. And then from Butte Silverbow DD Council, Todd Hoare will join us to talk a little bit about some of the partnerships he's formed at Discovery Ski Area to create opportunities for people with disabilities to belong to that great community that skis up at Discovery. Camp Bullwheel is a fantastic program that's pulling together partners in South Central Montana in Ennis to create opportunities there and throughout the state for people to belong to the community that lives and recreates and gets physical activity and connectedness on our rivers. Montana Independent Living Project is a strong partner on both of those, Discovery and the Ennis project, but also has been working a lot to develop opportunities on our ice rinks throughout the state for people with disabilities to belong and participate and pursue fitness goals. My colleagues at Montana at the MonTECH program, which is our assistive technology program in the state and is housed at the Rural Institute where I am at the University of Montana, they've been working with partners throughout the state and nationally to create opportunities for people with disabilities to belong to the biking, cycling communities, and to participate and pursue fitness goals. And of course, on this slide, you'll note that Discovery, which is the ski area, just over by Phillipsburg here in South Central Montana. They have just been great partners for us. So we wanted to acknowledge them. And we're so excited to be hearing more from partners throughout the state and hopefully nationally during our Partners Roundup. This is a public health role for us to convene and strengthen networking opportunities, and we hope that that's an outcome of this webinar this morning. I want to mention to all of you that the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention is our source of funding. It funds 19 state disability and health programs. That's one of our networks. 5 of those states have been working with CDC and the National Association of Chronic Disease Directors and the National Center on Physical Activity and Disability on a project called Reaching People with Disabilities Through Healthy Communities. And a lot of what we've learned are archived on this website. So if you're interested in how to do community development work to build out inclusive, healthy communities, I just wanted to take this moment to recognize this other project that, in addition to being a state grantee, we've had the opportunity to be resourced and to work more closely with our partners to understand their work and support it, and then create these products for other communities and states to learn from. So that website is there for you guys. And without further ado, let's hear from our partners. The first being Bob Lujano, who is a fellow rugby player. I'm so honored to know someone who's been capped for the USA Paralympics rugby team, and that I get to work with Bob is truly exciting. Take it away, Bob.
Okay, hello. Thank you very much, Meg. Appreciate this time being with you today. I'm Bob Lujano. I'm an inclusion specialist for the National Center on Health, Physical Activity, and Disability, where we provide resource information to public health officials, to healthcare providers, educators, fitness professionals, and disability and aging community. I also want to take this time to invite many of our people that are here on this call for this exciting announcement that we're going to be offering a free virtual inclusive fitness training. And this is the first time we have gone virtual with this training, so we are opening it up nationwide. The training will cover all the basics on inclusive fitness and how to work with individuals with a disability in a physical activity setting. It is also worth 8 CEUs through the ACSM. The first session of the training is on disability education, covering best practices, and we're encouraging everyone to participate regardless of background. We're also going to be hosting a panel presentation with Paige Dennison from Enhanced Fitness, Allie Riley from Girls on the Run, and Amy Burnett from Dare to Try. And our topic will be talking about inclusion in the midst of a pandemic. So we hope you're joining us. The training will take place on March 30th and 31st from 11 a.m. to 3 p.m. Central Standard Time. You can attend one session or all the sessions. And if you have any further questions about the training, you can contact Kelly Bonner at kellyb@lakeshore.org. And there's also a registration link that you can have access to. So I guess we'll go ahead and move on to our first moderator, or excuse me, our first presenter. Let me introduce Todd Hoare with Butte Silverbow County Development Disability Services, and we'll be talking about adaptive downhill skiing. So, Todd.
Hey, Bob. Thanks for the introduction. I'll get my PowerPoint set up here real quick, and hello, everybody. Thanks for joining us today. As Meg had said, Todd Hoare. I am the director of the Silverbow Developmental Disabilities Council here in Butte, Montana, southwestern Montana. And I've had the privilege of helping people recreate as a kind of as a fitness goal for almost 30 years now. And over that course of time, one of my tools that I've been helping use is skiing, mostly adaptive downhill skiing. And I'm kind of privileged to be on this board because most of the people who are going to be speaking today helped me reach goals for different people I was assisting in every area of recreation and fitness. So I feel pretty lucky to be the one to go first on this first webinar to talk about it. Again, many of the partners on here, I wouldn't be able to do what I do if it wasn't for them. Alpine Skiing, for instance, there's many bigger programs than ours that provide us our training. Dream Adaptive out of Whitefish and Eagle Mount out of Bozeman help us do a lot of training so that we're able to make sure our instructors know the latest techniques and keep everybody safe and equipment running smoothly. What we try to strive for is that learning is fun, and we want to allow people. Winter is huge in Butte or in Montana. It's just long. So how do we help people stay fit and not be afraid to go outside? And one of those tools that we use is Alpine Skiing. There's many different ranges of skiing. Obviously, if you have a disability, the one I tend to be most trained in is using sit skis and assisting people to use sit skis. But there's ranges of instruction for any level, whether you have a disability or not. Most of the larger ski hills will have the ability to assist you in trying out this sport as a possible lifelong recreation, even after disability's been acquired. The chairlift, as you can see in the picture that's on the screen, is one of the, what I've learned is one of the more difficult things for people to overcome when sitting in a sit ski, because they're trusting you. They're completely immobilized in a chair. So to have to be up off the ground and having somebody else with your life and their life in your hands tends to be the biggest hurdle to overcome. Once that's achieved, kind of the sky's the limit. The ability to socialize, like on the chairlift at the bottom of the runs, it really is a spot where I see skiing in my personal life and in my professional life as a huge social interaction. And when it becomes that in people's lives, the actual exercise and fitness component becomes secondary instead of primary. So I love that aspect of skiing and staying fit. The progression of skiing can go from, especially in these adaptive, this is a bi-ski that you see in the picture. The progression can go from total tethering to people skiing independently with just assistance to possibly come to an arrest, to a stop, because bi-skis are more difficult to stop by yourself in the ski. So you progress through the learning process by being tethered, as I'm doing in this picture. With the gal we just went yesterday, it was beautiful up there. And these pictures are just from about noon yesterday. So You can see she's progressing really quick. She hasn't skied in 2 years in a bi-ski, so her skill level picked right back up. Something that she taught me yesterday too as part of our trip was the adaptation of Nordic skiing as a fitness tool. She loves to get cardio exercise, and again, living in Montana, it's a lot of winter. So Nordic skiing is a huge asset to her to get Nordic skiing, as well as myself and my partner in the picture, Cassie. And the trails in our area are mostly all groomed with a track set. The Nordic setup that Lizanne is in is designed to fit in those groomed tracks. And she taught us some skills that we want to progress our program into a Nordic program as well. We're just a little program that started, I guess I should have explained that, but we're just a little program that started about 20 years ago with equipment up at Discovery Ski Area. And we now have 5 sit skis and different ranges of height and sizes. And just last year, we introduced a stand-up glider to our mix and got some training for that as well. I don't have a picture of that one here, but within that, you can use that same setup on the Nordic trails, I'm told, as you can on the downhill setup. So Lizanne took us out on the trails that are right next to Discovery and showed us some of the adaptive skiing that she's used and how to assist her in making it a full workout and a full enjoyable experience for her. Again, it doesn't look like we're having much fun, but we were. Lizanne, as you can see, is self-propelling her setup throughout the trip, but there is hills and downhills where assistance is sometimes needed. In Lizanne's words, it's mostly to keep her from sliding backwards when she's trying to go up hills. So in this picture, you can see her tethered to me, but I'm not pulling her up the hill. I'm just stopping her from rolling or sliding backwards as she's progressing up the hill. A lot of slack in the line from her strokes. It's kind of a dance, keeping yourself at the same pace, talking to each other. And again, as in her words, it's for her to get a workout as well as everybody enjoying it. So I'm not pulling her up that hill. She's pushing herself pretty hard up that hill.
Todd, this is Mackenzie. You have about a minute.
Thank you, Mackenzie. Perfect timing. With that, this is a picture from the top of Discovery Ski Basin, just outside of Phillipsburg, Montana. The Pintler Mountain Range is the range you see in the background. Those cross-country ski trails go through that lower set of trees into those meadows. The meadow that's kind of on the right looks like a clover there. The right part of the clover is Echo Lake, and the big white space out in the back is Georgetown Lake. So again, I couldn't do what we're doing without the help of so many other programs in this that are on this webinar and in future webinars. I feel privileged to be a part of it, and anybody that would like to come to Discovery Ski Basin for either one of those sports, even some ice fishing, give us a call. I appreciate being on here. Thank you, guys.
Okay. Well, thank you, Todd. That definitely makes me want to travel up to see you. So I definitely appreciate that. We're going to go ahead and go on to our second panelist, which is Shawna Hansen from MonTEC, and she's here to talk about adaptive skiing. So, Shawna, thank you.
Thank you. I am the outreach coordinator for Montec, and I'm very happy to be here. So thank you for having me. So Montec is Montana's assistive technology program, and we are tasked to provide free access and free training to assistive technologies and adaptive equipment. And there is a program like this in every state in the country. So if you are not in Montana, or if you have family and friends in other states, you can Google your state's AT program, or you can use this link, and it'll take you to a directory, which will take you to your program, similar to Montec. And you don't have to worry about capturing that information because the slides will be available to you. So Montec is a free lending library and training resource. What we do is we buy and house equipment, and we loan that equipment. We ship it all over the state. We provide free training on anything that we house, and we serve any Montanan, any age, of any disability. And we do not sell anything. So I like to stress that because sometimes people worry we're going to be pushing one product over another, and that's not what we do. We house a range of products, a range of brands, and then you figure out what works for you. So we loan equipment for vision, hearing, learning disabilities, computer access, communication, activities of daily living, positioning, mobility equipment, and outdoor recreation. So having a little trouble with my screen here. Sorry about that. So we have quite a bit of adaptive equipment in our inventory, and we are currently assessing that equipment and considering adding to it. So if there are activities you want to participate in, or your program is taking on, let us know what we should put on our wish list for purchases. But in this slide, you can see a wheelchair mount for a handgun. We don't loan guns, obviously. We do have a compound bow and a crossbow that we loan, minus the arrows. You can see a holster attached to a wheelchair for fishing, a four-wheeled all-terrain walker, and then the man on the raft is the chairman of our advisory council, Peter, and the raft is another item that Montanans can borrow from Montec. The raft is the only item that we actually charge a fee to borrow, because 2 Parks and Rec employees come along on your float trip, and believe me, you'll want them with you because these rafts are heavy, and they'll do the hauling and the loading and the unloading, but they're hard bottom rafts with tie downs for 2 wheelchairs, and it's just a great time and a great way to get out on the river. If you do a 3-hour float near Missoula, the cost would be about $100, so very reasonable. We also have added to our inventory for getting out and about. So this is Emma. It's an all-terrain wheelchair, and to the right is our comfort sledge, and a little photoshopping. That's our staff writing it. So these are great items that people can borrow. The wheelchair is about $4,000. So again, you can borrow from us to see if it's going to be worth you purchasing that yourself. It's not something you want to spend money on until you've tried it, that's for sure. And we have trikes. So that's the bulk of what I'm going to be talking about today. So Montec has a program called Wheels Across Montana, and we have trikes in 5 locations around our state. And the way to access our trikes is you go to our website, you check out a trike in the area closest to you, and then our community partners will contact you about when you can pick up your trike. So we have a range of trikes at each location. We have hand cycles, we have a couple of e-assist bikes, a couple of tandems. We have these more supportive Riften trikes. So with trunk straps and pedal straps, for people with more significant needs. And a lot of times schools will borrow these trikes from us, and they'll keep them for a season, like through the winter. And then students can pedal around the gym or pedal around the halls to kind of keep moving. It's really hard to get around Montana when you're reliant on wheels. And so this is a way for some students to stay in shape through the long, cold winter. This is a side-by-side Worksman. And I share this because it's kind of a heavy trike. It's more like a Sunday afternoon pedaling on a paved path trike, but we just want to make sure our trikes serve a wide range of ability. So the tandems are great for people with balance issues, people with tremors, memory loss. So a caregiver who's caring for a partner with dementia and they want to get out, but they need to be able to be, beside the person, see the person's face and monitor their comfort. Great trikes for that. Good trikes for low vision or blindness and any fine motor or gross motor issues. So a few of our superstar consumers who use our trike program, this is Everett. And Everett belongs to a very athletic, adventurous family, and he has a baby brother now. So it's important that he be as independent as possible when they're adventuring. So on the left, you can see his father's carrying a walker that was borrowed from MonTECH. And it's available to borrow for up to 6 months at a time. And then on the right, you see Everett on an Amtrike. And the Amtrike is a $700 children's trike. It has a bucket seat, trunk strap, lap strap, pedal straps, and then a rear steering kit for the parent. So now he can trike along when his parents are taking walks or bike rides around the park. We like to house things that are hard for individuals to afford. So it's pretty tough to justify a $700 trike for a 3-year-old. So we're really happy to be able to provide that for people so they don't have to buy a trike their kid's gonna outgrow, in a year and need something else. So this is Strider. Strider is a low, lightweight bike, low seat, and it's got no pedals. It has footrests. And the point of the Strider is that you can learn how to balance without the complication of pedaling. Super easy to find bikes like this for little kids, a lot harder to find them for adults. And when you're just meeting a need that's going to be maybe a summer or maybe 2 weeks, you don't want to have to spend $230 on a Strider for an adult. So Montec got a Strider, and this is Cody. And Cody comes from a family of biking enthusiasts, and she was really struggling with balancing. And so her dad shared with us these videos. This is Cody early on in the process with the Strider. So she's frustrated and she's going to get discouraged and it's going to become a thing that she hates. So the Strider is giving her that intermediary step. And here she is riding after a few weeks of practice with Strider. She is on the left and she goes down a grassy hill. And her parents are delighted. Her parents are filming. And then she actually rides up a little hill on a regular bike. So it kind of got her over a hump and built her confidence. And now she's able to bike with her family. And I don't know if you noticed, but in the background, there are tons of people biking in this neighborhood. So it would be really isolating and lonely to not be able to ride a bike with that kind of being in that kind of environment.
Shawna, this is Mackenzie. You have 2 minutes.
Okay. This is our Terra trike, our tandem recumbent. And on the trike are 2 superstars in adaptive sport around here at New Missoula. That's Peter again, the chair of our advisory council, and Shireen. Shireen is a ski instructor in this area, and they wanted to participate in Dream Adaptive's ride up Glaciers Going to the Sun Road. But they each had challenges that were going to make that difficult. So they borrowed the tandem, and Peter was the leg power, and Shireen did the steering and the braking, and together they made it 18 miles up a mountain, even further than they did the year before. So great use of our trikes, and we were really excited to get pictures back showing that adventure. So these bikes are expensive. And it might be that someone tries a trike through MonTEC and they really love it, and then they find out it's $3,000. I believe that Terra Tandem is $3,100. And so there are organizations that might help you get your trike funded, and you can contact your state AT program if you're not sure where to start with that. But in Montana, if there's no other money, then we offer a financial loan program. So approved applicants can borrow up to $1,500 at 0% interest, or up to $50,000 at 3.5% interest. And this loan program is meant for those things that banks typically don't loan for, like vehicle modification, accessible vehicles, home modification, hearing aids, ramps, whatever you need, and also trikes. So please contact us if you think we can help. Please contact us if you have ideas for things we should house. And we look forward to working with you and helping you get outside and be independent under the big sky.
Thank you so much, Shawna. That's outstanding.
Thank you.
Alrighty, I'm gonna go ahead and go on to our third panelist, which is Mr. Charles Alvarez and Joel Peden on Montana Independent Living Center, to talk about ice and roller sled hockey. So, gentlemen.
Well, good morning, everybody. So, Mackenzie, I will share my screen if somebody can. I'm not.
Joel, this is Mackenzie. I made you a co-host, so you should be able to share your screen.
Okay. So I'm looking for my share my screen. I think we're getting there.
Should be a green button at the bottom of your screen.
Yep. Is it sharing now?
Not yet.
Oh, there we go. How's that?
That looks good. If you're able to make it full screen, even better.
Maybe.
We lost the PowerPoint. It's now just your email.
How's that?
We see your email, not the PowerPoint.
I apologize. Saying that, showing that I'm hiding my email.
Maybe try to reshare.
Stop sharing screens, Joel, and when you share screens, choose the window you want.
So I've got that up. What do we have now?
We can see your PowerPoint on the top upper right corner. You can click Start Slideshow if you see it.
Yep,
Make
there
it
we go.
even bigger. That looks good.
All right, apologies. I am not a very technology person. So I want to welcome everybody. This is, and also thank Mackenzie and her group for coming up with this idea. It's pretty cool. And my name is Joel Peden. I am currently the executive director of the Montana Association of Centers for Independent Living. My co-presenter, Charles Alvarez, is an independent living specialist with Montana Independent Living Project and a good friend as well, and fellow adaptive skater. Charles, I'll let you say hi. Maybe he's not there.
Charles, we can see you, but we cannot hear you. Nope, we cannot hear you.
How about now?
Much better.
Okay, cool. Hello, everybody. Thanks for having me. Glad to be here. Sorry about that, none but technical difficulties.
So adaptive skating was an idea that came about as just a roundtable discussion at our center 2 years ago. And we were trying to decide, how do we find a program that can encourage people to, get out, have some fun, do some exercise, but also emphasizes inclusion, right? And we had we had one of our folks say, hey, you know what? Sled hockey's this great program that we do, or that he's participated in. And so we started looking into it further, and about the same time, we got notice of a grant opportunity through the National Council on Independent Living, specifically for inclusive recreation ideas. And so we applied, and we were one of 10 programs in the country to receive the grant. And we used that money to purchase our first supply of 18 ice sleds, sticks, and helmets and other equipment. And not really knowing anything about starting a program, we started reaching out for help and started to put together our team of advisors. And again, it's kind of weird sometimes how things work out, but I use a power wheelchair and use the city bus to get back and forth to work and get around town. And one of our bus drivers, gentleman by the name of Beaner, is a huge hockey person. And we were sharing with him one day, and he was like, man, he says, I think I'd like to get involved in this. And so his connections to the ice rink allowed us to be able to start a program back in 2019 that over the course of a hockey season turned into having approximately just short of 400 people skate and try it out over the course of the winter. And it was, we had decided early on that we weren't going to try to sell it as sled hockey. Sled hockey was part of the program, but it was also focused at families and being able to bring families together to see, and let's see, I've got to move my, it was part of bringing families together to be able to do that activity you know, you can see there's a group of folks here that are participating in a sled hockey practice, which we did every morning from 7 to 8:30 or every Saturday morning from 7 to 8:30. But we also wanted to make sure that we were going above, making that sure that it was all ability and that it was inclusive. And so we offered family skates. We introduced the sleds at a private party. One of the local pediatric dentists every year has a big party, and they have 400 or 500 of their little clients that come out and skate. And so we had talked with them, and we had our sleds there that night. Number one, for anybody to try, right? We want to make sure it's all ability. And it was amazing to look down from above and see kids skating with a mixture of, you know, stand-up skating. There were kids that were using these supportive devices that help them balance. And then we had ice sleds all out there together, just having a great time. And it was so inclusive. It was just like, man, this is magic. We also did some family skates where we had one of our gentlemen that sled hockey's with us. He had not been able to skate with his nieces and nephews in 15 years. And because everybody could come and choose how they wanted to skate, he was able to spend an entire afternoon with his family. And I think there was about a dozen of them all together. And they just had a great time hanging out and participating and laughing and just having fun.
Joel, this is Mackenzie. You have about two and a half minutes.
About two and a half minutes. Thanks, Mackenzie. So the thing that was, the thing with the program, and I'm going to let Charles talk for the last couple minutes here, is the inclusive part. When you've got 30 people out on the ice and sleds skating, you can't tell who has a disability and who doesn't. But Charles, I'm going to leave the last couple minutes for you to talk a little bit about your experience and to wind it up.
All right. Thanks, Joel. Yeah, about 5 years ago, my disability started, bone, nerves, and I started having a hard time with my balance and walking. And I was introduced to MILP a few years ago through the peer program. Anyhow, like Joel was saying, a couple years ago, we had started this, and one of my big things was I have 5 kids, and activities with my kids was kind of cut short, and they were kind of upset because I wasn't able to do as much with them. And once we started this, if you look at my picture behind me, those are 2 of my boys. We introduced them to this, and I was able to get out on the ice with them and participate with my family again, which was great. Instead of sitting on the sidelines, I was able to get out there and be a part of it with them, and they absolutely love it. And like Joel was saying, the cool thing about it is you get out on the ice and you can't tell who has a disability or anything like that, and it's like everybody gets to participate and be a part of it. And another thing is I'm a vet, and I have a lot of friends that are vets, and we introduced to some of the vets, and it's also a great thing to help with mental health, get you out there to socialize, meet new people, and be a part of something again. So it's been a great program, and I'm looking forward to it starting up again here. And we were able to get some wheels that actually attach to the bottom of the ice sleds so we can use them year round, other than just on the ice. So, but thank you, everybody. That's all I have, and have an awesome day.
All right, well, thank you, Charles and Joel, and no doubt with adaptive skiing and this coming up on a Paralympic year, it's definitely something for everyone to be a part of. So we're going to go on to our fourth and final panelists, Peter Powells and Chris Claspy, Camp Bullwheel, talking about inclusive fishing, boating, and rafting. So, gentlemen.
Thanks, Bob. Nice to be with you all. We're with Camp Bullwheel. We're a nonprofit organization, and we try to make float fishing available to anglers with disabilities, and it is a free float program. I'm going to share my screen, bring up a slide show, and then walk you through a lot of what we do. And Chris, in the meantime, you want to introduce yourself?
Yeah, hi, I'm Chris Clasby. I'm in Missoula and I work for Summit, but I've also had a great opportunity to be involved with some adaptive recreation stuff or inclusive fitness programs in the past, with several people on the present or the webinar today, as Todd mentioned earlier. So yeah, and this Camp Bullwheel, which Peter's gonna pretty much cover, but there's been a great new program 3 years ago, getting going in Montana, and hopefully it'll just continue to build and provide opportunities. So thanks a lot.
Thanks, Chris. This is Camp Bullwheel is in Ennis, Montana, actually about 10 miles south of Ennis, Montana. And I'm going to run my cursor around the aerial photograph here. This is camp. And then Barney Road goes down into the river bottom. This is the Blaine Spring Creek, and then across to the Madison River. And this is the famous Barney Bridge. And then this part here is the Barney Bridge fishing access site. And I have my cursor on the boat ramp right now. So we are very close to the fishing access and blessed to have this site. It was donated to the program. And the house that we have is wheelchair accessible. And it has, since we're in a remote area, when people come to visit, they need to take care of their needs in a faraway place. And so we have a roll-in shower and access to a toilet, and it is all accessible. And then our specialty, of course, is our accessible boats and adaptive fishing equipment. This is our accessible cataract, very similar to the one we built for MonTECH years ago. And this is the latest version. This is an 18-foot cataract, and it rides high in the water and can accommodate either manual wheelchairs or power wheelchairs. This is a father-son combination fishing on the Madison River here. These are some of our other boats. The boat in the foreground is a skiff, and the guy in the black shirt sitting on his seat, that seat is removable. And then there is a deck there, and you can put a manual chair. And for someone who can transfer, this is a great boat to go on the river with in a manual chair. Here are two other drift boats, and these are wheelchair accessible. The transoms fold down and become a ramp, and you can just roll a wheelchair right into either one of these boats. The boat in the background, you can see there's a wheelchair user, and you can make his wheelchair out in there. This is on the Flathead River, this photograph. Here's another photograph when we were floating on the Bitterroot River, and this shows a power chair with an attendant next to him, the oarsman, and then behind the oarsman, another participant and an empty chair. So this boat can hold quite a few people. Here's another accessible cataract, and this one's full with a family fishing. The young man in his manual wheelchair is holding an adaptive fishing rod, and we'll get a better look at that later on. This photo is from the Colorado River. Here we're on the Bitterroot River, and this shows a couple of accessible cataracts. And this participant is getting ready to disembark from the boat on the foldable ramp. And then here we're going to have a little quick clip to show the deployment of the ramp onto the boat, so you can see how we get ready to board. We just have this little suitcase ramp, unfold it, set it up, and then we're ready to get on. And now we are going to get a power chair onto the cataract. And this participant uses a fully automated fishing system, and you can see the quad stick controller coming up between his legs. And when he tilts that quad stick controller, it enables him to run the little fishing apparatus that is the white box on the right side of the raft. And that's a fully automated fishing system. So now he is backed up onto the deck. And then we also have a seat that will install right next to him. And then his attendant and he can sit in the raft and we can float the river. Here's a manual chair, and we're going to get that on board with the same ramp. So this person is independent. He's a low quad, and he can push his way up. Takes a little oomph, but he's pretty strong, and here he is up on top. And then here we are getting ready to pull away from the boat ramp. This is on the Bighorn River, and quite a fishery below Yellowtail Dam. And then here's a rainbow trout that he caught a short while later.
Peter, this is Mackenzie. You have 2 minutes.
Thank you. This is one of the rec therapists at Craig Hospital with the adaptive rod I showed you a little earlier. This is a brace rod on a spin cast rod. It has built up handles and buttons, and this works out quite well for some people. Here's a one-handed fishing rod with an electric reel. And then here you can see it being held. The thumb is on the switch that activates the retrieve. And then the black lever right here releases the line while you're casting. And so for a one-handed application, this is a very efficient fishing rod. Here's another one-handed fishing rod. This is a fly fishing rod. It mounts on your chest, and then with a clip, it detaches for casting, but then can be clipped back on, and then with one hand, you can reel. This is a low quad fishing rod, and it mounts under the cushion. The gray plate slides under the cushion, and then the gooseneck puts the reel and the casting hinge in the optimal range of motion, and then you are able to cast it. And here we're going to demonstrate that. He's just going to pull back on the rod, and as he does so, a cable controls the reel, And all he has to do is let the rod go, and the spring will bring it out, and the cable will automatically release the reel. He's getting a drift now. This is on the Missouri River, and he's finishing through his drift. He's focused on his fly nymphing along the bottom, and now he's starting to retrieve, and you can see the little indicator coming up here. So he has pretty good control. And then short while later, this is the rainbow trout that he caught. Now here we are in the front yard at our cabin, and this is the accessible cabin near the put-in on the Madison River. And we have a user learning how to use the automated fishing system. A lot of the adaptive gear takes practice to get good at it, and then you can be proficient while you're fishing. All of our equipment is available for use free. And if you can't get to the Madison River, maybe we can get to a river near you where we can meet up and float fish. Now we're on the Roaring Fork River down in Colorado.
Peter, this is Mackenzie. If you have about 20 seconds to tie it all together, and we'll be able to end the webinar.
Very good. This is our last slide. And this is a Craig alumni with his daughter, and they had just caught a very nice brown trout. And hope you can get a hold of us at Camp Bullwheel. The best way is campbullwheel.org, our website, and then call, leave a message, or sign up via email, and then we'll start the process going. Everybody is so individualistic that it takes a lot of logistics to make these trips possible, and we'll get the ball going for you. So thanks for being with us. Chris, anything from you?
Nothing. Nope, thank you.
Okay. Mackenzie, thanks for having us. We really appreciate it.
Thank you, Peter. Thank you, Chris. I put in the chat, everyone, that we do not have time for questions because I want to respect all of your time. But you can still post in the Q&A. Peter, there are a couple questions for you if you want to answer that now, or we will provide those on our archived webinar page.
Okay, I'd be glad to answer any questions.
Thank you. So last thing we want to run by, I want to appreciate Bob Lojano for being our moderator today from NICPAD. All of the presenters, round of applause. I appreciate the information and opportunities in Montana you were able to share with everyone on the call. In addition to our panelists, we also wanted to do a very quick partner roundup, and these will be included on our archived webinar webpage as well. But we have Spirit Club, who offers inclusive fitness, Dream Adaptive Recreation. Eagle Mount is another opportunity, Teton Adaptive, and University of Pittsburgh's online wheelchair maintenance training program. I know Meg Tracy has been posting in the chat many resources that have been answered or have been discussed today, or other opportunities, and we will continue to post those on our webpage as well. If you're interested in presenting at one of our future webinars, we hope to make this a regular thing. Please contact me or any one of the panelists, and we will get back to you with those answers. So thank you all for being here with us today, and we appreciate your time. And with that, I will close out the webinar. Thank you.